Hello there. All right, guys, this is the First Spear Aviation Body Armor Vest, or ABAV. So before I turn this thing in, said I really want to do a video on it, just kind of like highlight some of the stuff, mostly because it's a vest that you're not really going to see outside of the flying community. And then it has a lot of similarities to some of the other First Spear vests that I think you guys might be interested in. So stick around. All right, so as a friendly reminder, I am not a flyer. So I was security forces, then I was the first sergeant for a rescue squadron. So that's how I got one of these here, like issued out like to me. So I did talk with not just our pilots, but also like our smalls. Like, hey, how are you guys like setting up like your vests, and why? Like in a big thing, like, hey, leaving the front right here cleared. Here's where the gunner's harness is going to wrap around and secure like up front. I figured it would go around your waist, and they were like, no, you'll fall out of the helicopter, look all sorts like fucked up. So it goes like up here, like on the top, like the chest. So that's why the top of this right here is nothing up here. First Spear does issue it out with sort of like a pouch suite. All right, so there's a bunch of pouches that come like with it. This right here in the very front, this did not originally come with it. Our squadron bought a bunch of these. This is from Warrior Assault Systems. I've covered this in a previous video, but this is not placard compatible. All right, so it is just this laser cut stuff all the way like down. So say there's no Velcro back here. It is mollied like through. I got to say that, so I've talked to the Dutch Loadmaster who works personnel recovery. He put one of the placard adapter kits on the front of his, so you can do that if you guys like want. But something like this right here works out, just fine. Almost got to talk about the shoulder pads. Understand this here's like the one part where I think that First Spear did kind of like miss the mark a little bit. Yeah, it's great having the First Spear tube like compatible bit. No issues there. But the shoulder pads themselves are seriously like lacking. I've noticed that said even though there's a little bit of like padding that's like on here, anytime that I use like very thin straps like this, no matter how much like weight like I've got on there, it definitely kind of like digs in a little bit. So said not the hugest fan of this. For like the pilots, it's probably not too bad just because they are just kind of like sitting there like most of the time, but our smalls are like halfway hanging out of the fucking helicopter. So said this right here, you're definitely gonna end up like feeling it. I would actually recommend something more like this. These are the axle structural shoulder pads. I would definitely recommend throwing something like this on there. You're gonna get more padding. It's just gonna feel like a lot better. Of course, it's a little bit like wider, so you're not having this here like just digging right into the top of you. So naturally, with this right here being a First Spear vest, it is going to be First Spear tube compatible. So they've actually got it kind of built in on like the side here. So it'll sit between where your placards are and this little extra piece. This here is actually a really good idea. I'm kind of glad that they did this just because without this right here being, placard compatible with the tubes like sitting like right here, you can't really attach your standard Velcro wings. So they just kind of built one in on the side. Now there's no armor, there's no soft armor in this right here. I thought there would be, but it just has like the MOLLE cutouts here, so you can attach like whatever pouches. I've seen guys attach stuff like their knives. They'll carry those on the inside here. That is for those are for bird strikes, which sounds fucking terrifying. There's a pilot named Aflac. Great story behind how he's named that. But anyway, so on the other side here, so I had attached a radio pouch just because said for me, like if I'm going to be wearing any sort of like vest, typically especially on like the ground, this here's where my radio is going to sit. So once everything is kind of like done, you actually have like the radio like inside there, just like any other radio like wing pouch. The Cummerbund of course is going to wrap out a little bit like longer, just kind of like get over that. But because there's the softer back flap of that thing that's right there, it's actually pretty comfortable. So really no complaints like on that. I gotta say, yeah, well done for adding something like that. So these are here just some of the pouches that kind of come like with the kit. So you have a tourniquet holder. It comes with like 2 of these. So I've got the little IFAC indicator like on that one. So you do have this one right here, so you can throw like medical supplies in it. And then there's like another one that they also wear where they keep like their like E&E stuff like in it or something like that. Said I don't need that stuff, so I don't use any of that. And then these right here are their First Spear, I want to say this is called like the Ranger like M4 pouches, but the kit comes with, I want to say like 6 or 7 like of these. So typically you'll see like 3 of these right here on the very front of the vest. And then when they were wearing the old like Eagle gear, they got one of the larger like GP pouches. You see that right there kind of sitting like up front. Yes, I just always have my other two magazines on the back of the Cummerbunds. I said I've been doing this here for quite some time now. So once again, thanks to Reliant Outcomes for showing me that. But yeah, I said I just really like having these right here, like back there, keeps them like out of the way. So the adjustable back panel here for the Cummerbund is actually like pretty cool. Understand this right here, this is like the land like Cummerbund. There's like a maritime one that has like the built-in floaties into it. As far as I'm tracking, nobody's actually allowed to use those because if you pop them, you know, activate them, and they can like flip you like upside down in the water, something weird like that. So nobody uses those. But so like with the Cummerbund, so you've got it like set up to where you're wearing just like a combat shirt. So here's like nice and tight. If you go to actually throw on like a larger like jacket, rather than having to mess it like in the front, all you do is have like either yourself or your buddy will come back here, kind of undo that. You'll set this right here to you know, the second set of tubes to wherever you need it for that, and then you just kind of like attach it on. You know, and now I can fit, you know, a larger jacket, and it does it for like both sides. So this right here, really cool, a lot easier to do than messing with like the Velcro. But it's an interesting design. I said, once again, I think that the AAC version 2 plate carrier also has this right here in the back of that. All right, so that should about do it for this video right here. Said if you guys have any questions, like, you know, hit me up. If there's anything like, you know, specific like air crew wise that you guys like are asking, said let me know. I'll reach out to some of the smalls or pilots and actually ask them, just because they said they have a lot more obviously experience with these right here than I do. All in all though, pretty cool vest. So once again, always here for y'all. Hit me up if you guys need anything. Later.